Imagine waking up in complete darkness, no walls, no locks, no lights, and somewhere just beyond the tree line, something with teeth is watching you. This wasn't a nightmare for our ancestors. This was every single night for millions of years. So how did early humans, soft-skinned, slow-running, practically weaponless compared to the animals hunting them, manage to survive until sunrise again and again for generations? The answer is stranger, smarter, and more terrifying than you'd expect. Let's set the scene properly. Around 2 million years ago, our early ancestors weren't the dominant species on the savannah. They were prey. Big cats like leopards and saber-toothed predators saw humans as an easy meal. No claws, no fangs, no thick hide, just soft flesh and slow legs. And here's the part that should really unsettle you. Night was the worst time of all, because most of these predators had one massive advantage humans didn't. They could see in the dark. Human eyes are almost useless once the sun goes down. So how do you survive in a world built for creatures that hunt you specifically when you're blind? The first answer is the one you'd guess, fire. But it's not as simple as they lit a fire and felt safe. Early humans had to learn painfully through trial and loss that fire wasn't just warmth, it was a wall made of light. Most predators, even the boldest ones, have a deep instinctive fear of flame. It's loud, unpredictable, and painful. So a burning fire at the edge of a camp created an invisible boundary that very few animals were willing to cross. But here's the catch nobody tells you. Fire had to be fed constantly. If it died out in the middle of the night, that invisible wall vanished instantly. So early human groups didn't just build a fire and go to sleep. They kept watch. This is where things get interesting, because surviving the night wasn't a one-person job. It was a system. Groups would take turns staying awake, feeding the flames, and listening. Not watching, listening. In pitch darkness, your ears become your most important weapon. Early humans became incredibly sensitive to sound patterns, the difference between wind rustling grass and something moving with a purpose. A twig snapping at a steady rhythm meant footsteps. Silence, oddly enough, could be even more alarming because predators go quiet right before they strike. Now here's something most people don't think about. Where you slept mattered just as much as whether you had fire. Early humans didn't just camp anywhere. They looked for natural choke points, narrow spaces between rocks, the mouths of caves, or areas backed against cliffs, locations where a predator could only approach from one direction. This is basic defensive geometry, and it's the same logic castles used thousands of years later with walls and gates. Except early humans figured this out with nothing but rock formations and instinct. Caves get a lot of credit in this story, but real cave use was more complicated than movies suggest. A deep cave could just as easily be a death trap, because you might be sharing it with something already living inside, a bear, a hyena den, or worse. So groups would often use the entrance area of a cave rather than going deep inside, keeping an escape route open and a fire burning right at the mouth, using the cave's natural walls as backup while keeping flame as the primary defense. But not every human group had caves nearby, so what did the rest do? This is where clever, almost architectural thinking comes in. Groups would build barriers out of thornbush, dense, sharp branches stacked into a rough circular fence around their sleeping area. This wasn't decorative. Thorn barriers are still used today by tribal groups in parts of Africa to protect livestock from lions and hyenas overnight, because most predators simply won't push through sharp branches when easier prey exists elsewhere. It's a strategy that survived almost unchanged for possibly over 1 million years. Now let's talk about something genuinely unsettling. The sounds early humans made on purpose. Loud communal noise, shouting, chanting, banging objects together wasn't just social bonding. It was a defense mechanism. A group that sounds large and aware is far less appealing to a predator than one that seems small, quiet, and vulnerable. Predators are opportunists. They want an easy meal, not a fight. So by making themselves sound bigger and more alert than they actually were, early humans were essentially bluffing their way through survival every single night. And this brings us to one of the most important discoveries in early human behavior. Sleeping in shifts wasn't just practical, it may have shaped the human brain itself. Some anthropologists believe that our irregular, fragmented sleep patterns compared to other primates trace back to this exact pressure, a need for constant partial alertness through the night. Unlike animals that sleep deeply for hours, early humans likely developed lighter, easily interrupted sleep, waking at small sounds, checking the fire, and drifting back off. It's a survival trait so deep that traces of it may still live in you today, in the way a small noise at night can jolt you fully awake in an instant. Now, what happened when prevention failed? When something actually got past the fire, past the thornbush, past the watch? This is where early human cooperation becomes almost shocking in its intensity. A lone human against a predator stood almost no chance. But early humans rarely fought alone. Groups would respond together, shouting, throwing stones, jabbing sharpened sticks, using coordinated aggression to overwhelm an animal that expected an easy, isolated target. Predators are calculating risk takers. A single victim is worth the danger. A screaming, stick-wielding group is not. This single behavior, group defense over individual defense, may be one of the earliest roots of human teamwork itself. There's also a detail that rarely makes it into documentaries. Early humans likely used elevated sleeping platforms in certain environments. Evidence from some early hominid sites suggests nests or platforms built into trees or raised structures, keeping sleeping individuals off the ground, away from crawling or low-prowling predators. This wasn't universal, but in dense forest regions where ground-level threats were higher, height itself became a form of protection. Now here's a twist that changes the whole picture. Not every predator came from land. In certain regions, humans had to think about threats from above as well. Birds of prey large enough to target small children, or venomous creatures dropping from trees at night. This is likely one of the reasons camps were positioned away from overhanging branches whenever possible. Another small but critical piece of nightly survival planning. As humans evolved and spread across different environments, forests, plains, mountains, coastlines, the specific threats changed. But the underlying strategy stayed remarkably consistent. Control the light, control the sound, control the space, and never ever face the night alone. Fire evolved into more organized hearths. Thornbush fences evolved into wooden palisades. Watch shifts evolved into formal guard duties. And centuries later, those same principles reappeared in early villages and fortified settlements. Walls, gates, watchtowers, night patrols, echoes of exactly the same problem our ancestors faced under open, predator-filled skies. And this is what makes this story so powerful. Every single time you feel safe locking your front door at night, or setting an alarm, or simply trusting that nothing is waiting outside your window, you're benefiting from a survival system your ancestors built from nothing but fire, sharp branches, careful listening, and each other. They didn't have walls, they didn't have locks. They had cooperation, awareness, and an unshakable understanding that surviving the dark was never something you could do alone. So the next time night falls and everything outside your window goes quiet, remember that silence used to mean something very different. It used to mean stay alert. And for a very long stretch of human history, staying alert through the night wasn't paranoia. It was the only reason anyone made it to morning at all.